Welcome back to the All About PA podcast, where we talk about anything and everything PA. I'm Chandler.
And I'm Renice, and this is All About PA. Hi, Chandler.
Hi, Renice. How are you today?
I'm doing good, pretty much. Enjoying the fall.
It's beautiful out, and we just had a, huge election.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but to start us off, we're gonna start with our place spotlight.
Yeah.
1 in 2560.
Yes, and this is where we talk about all these amazing towns and places in Pennsylvania that not everybody must know and we're obsessed with. So today I'm bringing Punxsutawney.
Ooh.
Yes. If you're familiar with Punxsutawney, drop it in the chat or leave a comment of your experiences there. If you're familiar with Groundhog Day, Punxsutawney Phil is very largely known for being the groundhog that determines the daylight savings time. But actually, there is more to Punxsutawney than just Groundhog Day and Punxsutawney Phil.
I'm so glad you said that because up until now, the only experience I've had has been watching Bill Murray's Groundhog Day. So I'm very excited to learn more about this place.
Yeah, it's actually a very cute town. Before that, I will say that people believe, I think it's kind of like a tale in the town that Phil is believed to be immortal since 1887.
Wow.
All for the lore.
I'll choose to believe that's true.
Me too. I will. There was a magical drink that he and his wife named Phyllis took, and so that made them immortal, which adds to the whole magicalness of Punxsutawney and also Groundhog Day. Actually, another fun fact that I found out about the town is that it's named from the Native American term "town of sand files." And it was also derived from the Native American word for that gnat-like insect. It was town of punkies. And so that became how Punxsutawney came about. Right. I guess the tawny for the towny vibe of it.
Interesting.
So it's very cool. Punxsutawney is actually home to the Punxsutawney Weather Discovery Center, which provides a deeper look into the science of the folklore weather.
Wait, so they don't just use Punxsutawney Phil to tell all the weather?
You'd think, but they actually take this stuff very seriously.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually really cool to have a town that focuses on just, researching weather and making sure that our environment is very well looked after. So shout out to the Punxsutawney folks. You guys are awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's one of those things that you don't really think about or know. So that's why we bring them to you guys here. So you're aware of how cool and amazing Pennsylvania really is. And just the fact that there are, organizations that are focused on making our environment a safer and better place for all of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you got for us today?
Today, I'll be spotlighting Erie, Pennsylvania, which I know we've highlighted the beaches, but each county in Pennsylvania is pretty big.
Yep.
And so there's a lot more to Erie than just the beaches. So today I thought I'd take us through a little bit of the smaller towns in Erie. Edinboro, for example, is a small college town just south of Erie and is home to Edinboro Lake, which is a huge 245-acre lake surrounded by marshes and parks and trails, and you can canoe and kayak, which is one of my favorite things to do.
The environment.
I know. I've still never been out to Erie, and I've been wanting to go for so long. And so this is
definitely on the list.
It's just making me want to go even more. They have another great town called Corry, which is in the southeast part of the county. A small town that has a lot of, historic charm, but they're also, building up nice downtown, trendy places.
I like that.
A lot of antique shops. They have this one really interesting restaurant where they had a old Carnegie library, but the library moved, and so they took the old library, they left the building as it was, but they just turned it into a grill.
Oh.
Yeah. So now it's like a whole restaurant where you can get sandwiches and breakfast and stuff inside this old library building, which seems really sick.
Did they keep the structure and everything?
They kept the whole old looking facade and everything.
How crazy is that? Yeah, I'm just gonna go grab a burger at the library,
I know, right?
That's
and
cool.
Diners are already honestly probably one of the best parts of Pennsylvania.
I
and
will
so
agree to
having
that.
one in an old library just seems so sick.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that PA has a bunch of like these old structures that are repurposed to like just awesomer things for community to just, I feel like Pennsylvania is like a huge like, hey, come visit us. We're awesome. We are so neighborly focused and community focused. We have it all.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, the small towns across PA really are like the lifeblood, you know? And so it's so great that like all these cool towns have so many different unique things to offer. And it's really nice to be able to travel around the state and sample all these great small towns.
It's definitely a great experience.
And, you know, downtown Erie too, near the coast has a lot of small businesses. They have a lot of art galleries. And so, you know, Erie County is just really, I think, representative of Pennsylvania as a whole. I mean, it's a really working class county, hardworking Pennsylvanians, and you know it has all these great small towns that are still unfortunately being afflicted by a lot of the Trump administration's policies. I mean, back in February, they had hundreds of Veterans Affairs staff just dismissed. No real reason given why, you know, and it's like, to start a month into your administration and come for the Erie Veterans Affairs office wouldn't be my first priority.
Right.
And they've had more government workers laid off. I mean, just due to the recent government shutdown, they had a few IRS employees laid off, which I know none of us are a real huge fan of the IRS, but it's these people who make sure that we get our returns, process everything efficiently. And it's like these are their livelihoods too.
Right. And if you think about it, there's been a lot of people that haven't gotten their taxes yet. If you're wondering why you haven't gotten your return back, well, that's because Trump fired everyone. So.
Yeah, it turns out gutting essential services makes them worse.
Exactly.
And so, you know, Erie has just been hammered by a lot of the Trump administration's policies, which is really unfortunate because as we've seen, it seems like just an incredible place to visit and really representative of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, unfortunately, the government shutdown, the negligence, the impasse from the Republican delegation has slowed down literally everything that is in Pennsylvania, all the cool things too. The organizations that keep things moving just to do their job, to protect our environment, to you know, make sure that people are seeing the cool stuff in Erie. I mean, Erie's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Past the beaches, okay? Like, really cool stuff is happening, as Chandler is mentioning. It's just unfortunate that all of that stuff is impacted one way or the other because of this recent administration's just like all of the decisions since January. Literally.
Yeah, 100%. It's a shame.
Yeah. But I love the fact that people are still doing the thing. You know, people are still focusing on what makes Pennsylvania unique and highlighting that and elevating that for the hardworking people in PA. Yeah. One of my favorite segments of our podcast is introducing our awesome listeners and participants of this podcast to meet a Pennsylvania neighbor. And it gives me such pleasure to talk about the people who are just out here doing the thing, just highlighting the heroes of Pennsylvania. Honestly, people who are, despite everything that's happening, that are still getting up and doing the thing. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce this week's neighbor, Maria Manotu Matos, who launched the Pittsburgh Latino magazine to connect her communities and make it more visible. Her devotion to community and activism was what got her the spotlight, but I think it's just such a badass thing to do. The reason why she started it was because she felt isolated in Pittsburgh. She didn't find community. It was hard to like know what her purpose was there. So she ended up leaving. And it was that motivation that kind of helped folks, you know, come back and kind of like do something about it. So she launched this magazine 5 years ago with the purpose of uniting and building community and kind of just like putting a dot in the city just to have people congregate. It's a bilingual publication. It reports on businesses, restaurants, and issues in the Pittsburgh metro. It has grown to include a podcast and print edition, which is awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah. I didn't even know that this was a thing. again, that motivation of wanting to see deeper coverage of Western Latinos in of Latinos in Western PA. I think that was actually really cool. And she, she was able to kind of like bring that aspect of community, of welcoming from wherever you come from, into it. She is deeply involved in Pittsburgh. She obviously, in addition to overseeing Pittsburgh Latino Magazine, she also is an active member in the orgs, like the Pittsburgh Metropolitan Area Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Casa San Jose, which we also have everywhere in Pennsylvania, and the Latino Community Center, amongst others. So she's around. She's kind of like your point person, I guess.
Right.
To have just like a place for people just to come and see what's going on and get involved too. And she's been told many, many times that the reason that they're very grateful for the magazine, and also the reason that they're going to Pittsburgh, is because of that, because there is a place. Yeah. So she's kind of like a magnet bringing people to Pittsburgh. And that people that felt isolated because of the maybe language barrier, or just kind of like, I'm alone here, I don't really see myself much. And yeah, she wants the magazine to eventually have a statewide audience, or even like a national one in the meantime. But she is sticking to the principles that kind of like got her to start there and build that community. So it was really cool to read. And shout out to Maria Manotil Matos for doing this incredible, impactful launch of this magazine that just continues to build on her community.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like, giving back to your community is like the best feeling in the world. So, huge shout out. That sounds like such an amazing thing. That's awesome.
She rocks.
So my neighbor that I'm spotlighting is actually a nonprofit organization that provides free healthcare. And they actually just recently came to Erie.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Hammett Health Foundation partnered with a nonprofit org called Remote Area Medical, or RAM for short, which is a free pop-up clinic. And they've helped over 950,000 people with free healthcare services across the country.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. They came to Erie recently, and Sean Bednard, who is the development coordinator at the Health Foundation, said, quote, "There's no discrimination of who can come in, whether you're insured or uninsured, whether you have ID or don't have ID. If you need care, you will not be turned away."
I love that.
And, it's a really heartwarming story. They said that many of the patients who went in never had healthcare, or they couldn't afford it.
Wow.
And so it was the first time in a long time a lot of them were actually getting the care they needed.
Wow.
And, it's really great that we had this nonprofit step in.
Yeah.
But it does beg the question of like, how did it get to this point? It's heartwarming, but again, with a lot of these things, we have to step back and realize the bigger issue is there were a lot of people going without healthcare for a while, and they couldn't get it until a nonprofit stepped in.
Right.
And we're, so grateful that that RAM stepped up to do this and provide the healthcare. But like, we all deserve healthcare. We shouldn't have to wait,
Gosh, yeah.
We shouldn't have to wait until a nonprofit graciously steps in to give us healthcare, right? Like we should just be able to get care when we're sick.
Yeah.
And, it's crazy to me that like we've gotten to this point, when we're the richest country in the world and we have our citizens, begging and praying that a nonprofit can stop by and give them healthcare, like we all deserve that healthcare from the beginning.
Agreed. 1,000%. I think that those are the things that we are being impacted, and people closest to us too. And these are conversations that you might not even know of unless you kind of like directly ask, like, hey, how's it going? How are you? Because people, again, are so focused on, okay, I can't even focus on healthcare and chasing that, those hurdles because I have to get to work. I have to do this. And it's very, very unfortunate that so many people go on for years without health care and having a proper checkup and seeing how their health is, So many older folks too, all types of folks, young folks, old folks, like anyone.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's so important that we do get involved and help, advocate for healthcare for people. And, now that the election's over, people might think that like, that means there's less time to get involved or like there's no need to, but there's a lot of ways that we can still
for sure
get involved in our community even after an election.
Oh yeah, you can, I always like to think of the election period like the more like the hype season, the hype election season brings out a lot of folks who are just so excited and awe at what organizations do. Nonprofits are out there on a daily basis doing this work, connecting with communities, knocking on doors, asking people. And that brings, a lot of participation and all that energy. It doesn't just die out after election day. Like, yes, that is, the day leading up to it. But afterwards, there's still so much more people can do. They can follow up with those amazing people that they met at the polls and, sign up for whatever they have going on, either a volunteer event or a sign up to get emails and notifications about what's going on with this organization and how else will they need more volunteers to show up and do. And, you can bring that back and see if, how you can fit that into your day to day. But the most simplest thing you can do is just engage with their social platforms or, keep track on those emails and newsletters. That is the simplest thing you can do that makes a huge impact on participation and for you to just stay on the loop.
But more importantly, you can get involved yourself and become a volunteer or even a member of the organization. You know, a lot of these organizations rely on volunteer work.
Yes.
And so it's super easy to just join an organization, become a volunteer, help out when you can, when they need help, and it's super simple because, the work just doesn't end on election day. These issues are with us after November, unfortunately, they're still with us, but like there's still always work to be done. And so getting involved in an organization is great. You can also join your local party committee, find out how to get involved directly there.
Yes.
Even in less partisan ways, you can attend school board meetings, you can attend council meetings, just get involved and be in the know on what's going on in your own backyard. And just doing that alone makes such a huge impact on your town, your community. It's really huge.
And it's awesome when you meet the people that are part of these committees and you're like, oh my gosh. And I don't know, like I joined a few committees and it's really cool to just see my older teachers from high school, from college. When we were doing the rallies, they were outside and I just got teary-eyed because I just get so overwhelmed and excited that it's like, oh my gosh, we're seeing each other outside of where we met, obviously. And it's just so beautiful that you're here because you also see things like for just helping community. And it's just beautiful to have that in common outside of, everything else. But I feel like it's also really cool to be able to be part of that outside of, your regular day job and stuff. If you're bored on a weekend, donate that time to do something fun. It's just nice. It's overall, like I favor volunteering and just being part of communities that even if they don't require you to do so much, you're still adding to the overall wellness of it.
Absolutely. So even though the elections is over, get involved in your community. It's the best thing you can do to improve the well-being of literally your next door neighbors.
Yeah, reach out, connect with the people you met on election day. Say what's up. I know that you must have had like a couple of social media accounts. Like that's the first step.
All right, and that's all for today, PA. My name is Chandler.
And my name is Renice. And this is All About PA. Follow us to keep in touch with everything that we do. And for our next episode, we're everywhere where you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. And follow us on social media at All About PA. We're on TikTok, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Blue Sky to keep up with all the things Pennsylvania when we drop our next episode.
And special shout out to our editors at Rolling Lemon Creative.
See you guys next time. Bye.